Last night was a rainy night here in Superior, Wisconsin, but it made way to a sunny morning. Welcome to the April 27th edition of Junior and Junior. I'm your host, Jared Running Jr., joined by my best friend, as always.
Dale Summerfield Jr.
And we are going to kick you guys off. We got a huge show on deck here for you today. We're going to be talking some MLB reviews, as we always do. NFL draft is tonight, so we're going to run down our mock draft of our top 10 picks before shutting out the show with a review of Black Diamonds, the newest album from L.A. Guns. Well, folks, let's kick this off with some MLB talk. I'll kick it off with the Phillies. Dale will go to his Brewers, and then we will talk a little bit of Twins baseball. The Phillies, been a really rough start of the year, but things looking to even out a little bit. Since we last talked, the Phillies were facing off with the Rockies and the Mariners. The Rockies series started off bumpy, lost the first game 0-5. Not what you like to see when you're trying to turn the season around, especially coming off of that series victory over the White Sox and that series split with the Reds. It all evened out from there. It all got better. Friday, of course, they went 4-3. So now we got a tied series. We got 2 more games to go. Little deja vu Saturday. They win another one 4-3. Now they just need to win Sunday. They win the series. Things are looking hunky-dory, looking fine. And they do it. They win 9-3. Phillies win the series against the Rockies. And yeah, they probably should do that. But you got to take the small victories. That's the way you got to look at it. Even if the Rockies are a terrible, terrible team, you have to take the small victories when they come to you. Because they have not been. And you play a very tough schedule. If you're the Phillies, you have to play the Mets. And you have to play the Braves. It's not going to be easy. You have to get these victories. When these easy victories come your way, like the Rockies, like matchups with the Reds or the Tigers or teams like that, the Nationals in division, when those matchups come your way, you have to capitalize on them. And that's exactly what the Phillies did against the Rockies. They take 3 of 4. They win the series. And then they head into a series with Seattle. Seattle, I mean, that's one where it's like they should be better than they are. They're a team that was in the playoffs last year, made a little noise. You definitely are looking at this series a little better. I think Seattle evens out. I think Seattle turns their year around a bit. They do play in a tougher division with Texas there and Houston starting to even things out a little bit. Houston, known for their slow starts and then getting things turned around, and Houston is starting to do that now. So I do think Seattle is a team that's a fair look at, and they took the first game Tuesday 3-5 over the Phillies. The Phillies bouncing back last night. They were down. They seemed like they were out of it. They had a 2-0 lead. And then Seattle, grand slam from J.P. Crawford. They add another one on what should have been a strikeout to end the inning, but turns into another home run. They go up 5-2. It just feels like classic Phillies falling apart. Oh my God, what can go wrong at this point? But they stay resilient, and they fight, and they show that fighter's mentality. And they end up rallying for a comeback in the 8th, take a 6-5 lead after building up runs throughout. And they win the game. They win 6-5. They get a victory. And now they head into a noon matchup with Seattle for the series victory or series loss. And hopefully they can win the series because they got some tough matchups. They head to Houston. They head to L.A., the Dodgers. It's not an easy schedule ahead, so they definitely need to win this series here with Seattle if they can. The Phillies currently sit 7 games out of first place in the National League, or 5 games out of first place in the National League East. They are 7-3 in their last 10. Yeah, they're starting to turn things around. So that's a positive. Let's keep doing that. When I come back next week, let's be talking about the fact that the Phillies are in second place. I mean, it's well within reach. So hopefully we'll be talking about second place when we come back here next week. But my hopes are not high because we are going to have to talk about a series with Houston. We are going to have to talk about a series with the Dodgers. So rough going for the Phillies in the next two series, but what can you do? With that, I'll hand it off to you, Dale, to talk about the Brewers.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much for me to say. I'm going to keep it short and sweet as I always do with most things, so we can have more time to discuss our other topic of the day, since it's a big day for the National Football League. But yeah, so after sweeping the Seattle Mariners, Boston came to town, took 2 out of 3 from the Crew. Then Detroit also came into town, took 2 out of 3 from the Crew. But the Brewers last night avoided the sweep as they won 6-2 to, yeah, to avoid, like I just said, to avoid the sweep against the Detroit Tigers. They have an off day today. And then Friday, they play the LA Angels. They ironically, that whole series, they avoid Shohei Ohtani pitching. They don't avoid him hitting, but they avoid him pitching. So, does that help? Who knows? But right now, they're sitting a game out of first place to the 17-8 Pittsburgh Pirates, who are having a fantastic first month of the season, or first month and a half of the season. So, yeah, it's Brewers. I think they're still playing good ball. They're 6-4 in their last 10. I mean, all teams, you know it. Baseball's a long season. They have some rough patches where they lose a couple series there. They lose a couple straight games. Can always turn things around. It's still April 27th today. So, yeah, it's still a early season. But, yeah, right now they're playing good ball. As long as the Cardinals are in last place in the division, I'm happy. Like, I'm content where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't see that lasting. Cardinal fans are going to be clipping that. They're going to be coming back to you when they're playing in October baseball and say, see, you turned it around for us. Well, let's talk about the Twins so we can get to that NFL mock draft talk. Twins, last time we talked, had a series closer with the Red Sox on tap. They lost that 5-11, lost the series with the Red Sox. And the only reason I bring that up is because things really weren't looking good for the Twins in the weekend. They started off Friday with a series opener with the Nationals, lost 2-3. Saturday, a 4-10 loss. They had now lost 3 straight. They had lost 4 of their last 5, going back to the Red Sox series. They finally got a victory, 3-1 against the Nationals on Sunday before starting their home half of the season series with the Yankees, having already faced them just a week earlier. That did not go well. They ended up splitting that 4-gamer earlier with the Yankees, so they were looking to win their first season series against the Yankees since May of 2001, our first series as a whole. Not season series, but they kicked it off Monday exactly how they were hoping, a 6-1 victory. A big runs piled on victory, what they like to do to the Yankees. They followed it up 6-2 Tuesday. They've now outscored the Yankees in the first 2 games 12-3. And Keeley won 2 of 3. They've won the first 2 of a 3-game series. And for the first time since May of 2001, the Minnesota Twins have beat the New York Yankees in a series. I can't believe that for the first time in our entire lifetimes, keep in mind almost 20 years of existence, the Minnesota Twins have never once beat the New York Yankees in a series. Well, they now have. It's now happened. The series closers are looking for the sweep. Didn't go their way, but I think that Twins fans are happy with the series win. But we do have to say the score. It was 6-12. The Yankees absolutely killed the Twins, but yeah, Twins won the series. Crazy. I think it was like May 9th, 2001, when at the Metrodome, the Twins beat the Yankees to win their last series against them. They now start tonight a 3-game series with a 4-game series with the Royals. They'll follow that up on the road, 3-gamer with the White Sox, and we will talk about those 2 series next week. We'll go over the Twins standing in the division and talk about what they've been in the last 10. They still hold a division lead over the Guardians by 2 games. They're 14-11 on the year, and they're 4-6 in their last 10, but they're 2 games over the Guardians. Still clinging on to a division lead. A lot of that in part due to their win over the Nationals and series victory over the Yankees. The Guardians did pull it to a tie, but the Twins taking advantage of wins when they count, when the Guardians lose, and getting back into sole possession of first place in the AL Central. So, yeah. Who would have been thinking that last year that we'd be talking about the Brewers, the Phillies, and the Twins, and of those 3 teams, the Twins would be the only one in first place right now?
Yeah.
I would have thought the Brewers were in first place. The Phillies, they never are in first place. They're shit out of luck. They'll make the playoffs on a wild card. They'll do damage. They don't like their division. Their division's no fun. I'd like to leave the NL East. Yeah. If the easy, well, it's not so easy anymore. But the semi-easy NL Central, really just got to deal with the Pirates. Usually play the Brewers quite well. Don't play the Cubs well, but maybe if we seen them more. Play the Reds quite well. Cardinals, well, ask Cardinals how the playoffs went. If you guys are looking for a new addition, I'd love to leave the NL East. Because the NL East is a blood show. It's a dogfight every day in there with the Braves and the Mets. And then Verlander's going to be back. Scherzer's going to be not suspended anymore. At least Kyle Wright kind of sucks this year. All right, we're moving on to the NFL.
Well, first with MLB, I just think it's nuts that the A's are sitting at 5-20. They're on pace, I think, to lose 133 games this year, or 132 games, whatever it is.
Is it really nuts?
No, but I just think it's crazy. Like, just 133 games. You seriously wanted to lose 133 games, but I get you'll get out of Vegas, but by the time you get from Vegas and Oakland, after you told them you're leaving, you still have 2 years before that stadium can be built.
Yeah,
because they said they might not be able to play in it till 2025 or 2026. So where are you going to play? They won't release you, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think that they'll renew for 2 extra years with Oakland. That'd be weird. Go play somewhere in Vegas, I suppose.
Yeah.
What is the Raiders, look like? Is it something like US Bank Stadium, where obviously the Twins would never play at US Bank Stadium, but because of college baseball, we know this. Is it something like US Bank Stadium where it is plausible to fit an MLB field into there somehow?
Yeah.
I don't know. But unless Oakland really wants to renew him for 2 extra years, because the lease, of course, is up after next season, it'd be interesting to see what they end up doing while their stadium is being built there in Vegas. Vegas or Oakland, they're not Vegas yet. Oakland really isn't like that much worse than a few teams. Like the Royals only have 7 wins um, there in the AL Central. I think that we'll see
Yeah.
the record even out a lot as the year goes on. I think that they'll lock their way into a few wins and even that record
Hmm.
out a bit. I think we just gotta wait for that to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we have your approval, Dale, let's jump to a quick ad break, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little NFL.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Folks, you can head over to tpublic.com/Unity Bulldogs Maniac to pick up the new Phil's Nation collection. Folks, in this collection, you can get all different kinds of merchandise, such as the Phil's Nation Minnesota chapter, Phil's Nation Pennsylvania chapter, and Phil's Nation West Virginia chapter. All new different kinds of merchandise in this new collection, coming at all different timelines. In the future, we will be sure to add more states before the entire 50 states of this great United States is Phil's Nation. All right, folks, let's send you back to Jared and Dale. Thank you, ad break, Jared. That was very nice of him to give us that ad break for Phil's Nation collection. You guys can head over there, pick up any of those shirts. If you want to see your state, let me know. But I just did Pennsylvania and West Virginia because those are big hotbeds for Philly fans, and Minnesota for me. Okay. Here we go, folks. Let's talk the NFL draft. Tonight is the NFL draft for the show. Let's talk about our mock draft for the first 10 picks of this draft. Just kick it off with pick 1, I suppose. Carolina from Chicago. I think we're consensus on this. I think we just 3, 2, 1. Quarterback Bryce Young, Alabama.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think this is just my opinion right now. I think other than Jalen Hurts, I don't know if we consider him an Alabama quarterback or a Oklahoma quarterback. What do you consider him more of?
I consider him Alabama. I think he counts.
Okay, well, because the reason I was going to say, I think Bryce Young might be the best or one of the best, other than Jalen Hurts, to come out of Alabama. I think this guy is going to be a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, before Jalen Hurts, the last name I can think of significant success in the NFL from Alabama would have to probably be Joe Namath. I think that you go that far back. They've had a few quarterbacks, but I don't think any of them have really amounted to crazy buku success like Jalen Hurts or Namath with the Super Bowl. I don't even think Namath was that good, just has the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But
no, I think Bryce Young's a caliber guy. I know you're a Viking fan, which hurts, but I think with having the weapon of Adam Thielen as a veteran, I think that will actually help Bryce Young.
I won't take any shots at Adam Thielen.
Yeah, but I feel like that would help for his first 3 seasons, having a veteran wide receiver and Adam Thielen help him out there.
Yeah. Yeah, Bryce Young, I believe, is not a bust. I think Bryce Young is the real deal. I think we could be talking Canton at the end of this young upstart quarterback's career.
Yeah.
Bryce Young gonna prove that Alabama quarterbacks can do it. Alabama, much like Ohio State, in that their quarterbacks you always have to have the questions about. But I do think, Carolina was a very good team last year. Barely missed out on a wild card. Yes, it was a weak NFC South, so that made things a little easier on them. But Carolina, I think you have to keep your eye on. They are picking number 1 through that trade with Chicago, and they did come up from 9. But I think Carolina has a very good team. They have the addition of Adam Thielen. I think that Chicago should not be counting their lucky stars on a number one pick already. I think that they need to start thinking potentially 20s. I
Mhm.
think that I'm seeing way too many Chicago fans assuming this is a top five pick, a top three pick, number one. When no, Carolina was a good team last year and they just got better with the addition of Bryce Young, if that's who they go with, and through
Mhm.
Adam Thielen and free agency and the other moves they've made this offseason.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a scary team. Like if next year, if they can build parts, or if even if they somehow figure out a way to, if they risk getting their first next year, trading that out and getting another top 15, top 20 pick and going out and either getting a top wide receiver or top offensive tackle to kind of help Young out with that. I think you look down 3, 4, 5 years down the line, that team might be the best team in that NFC South. Because with Brady gone, with Brady finally retired, Saints having Derek Carr, and not sure what direction the Falcons are going in. I think it's either going to be a Saints Panthers division.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair unless Tampa Bay can find their quarterback. I know they have Baker Mayfield, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think he's the answer for the far out future, maybe the immediate, but I don't know about talking 5, 6 years down the road.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Bryce Young and Carolina, if they match up tonight, could very well be on top of that division for many years to come, along
Mm-hmm.
with Atlanta, who we'll get to talk about at pick eight, unless you have them trading deal. But I have them sticking at pick eight, so we'll get to that when Atlanta's name comes up. Yeah. How about we move on to pick number two, the Houston Texans. Played themselves right out of the number one pick with that win to end the year.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were frozen for a second.
Oh no, no, you're good. You want me to announce my pick that I had?
I don't care who goes first. If you want to go first, the floor is yours. Not stepping in your way.
Cool. Yeah, and with the second overall pick, the Houston Texans select Will Anderson Jr.,
I agree.
Alabama. I don't know. I feel like with the Panthers trading up for with the Bears, I feel like the Texans were in hopes that the Bears would get Will Anderson and they could get Young at 2. But looking at it now, I feel like they're like maybe CJ Stroud is not a great option for us at 2.
I do not agree with. Well, at two, I agree with that.
At 2. So they go out and I think they get one of the best edges in the game, edge rushers in the game, Will Anderson. So yeah, I think that's fairly obvious for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think this pick, and I think this is the consensus with it. It's very much
Mm-hmm.
between going defense and the skilled edge rusher and Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama, or going with the quarterback of the future in C.J. Stroud from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I agree with you that I think Will Anderson's the pick at two. We got to
Yeah.
keep in mind that Houston does have the number 12 pick, and they can very much get their quarterback of somebody else, whoever else. You have Will Levis left on the board, Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Richardson, um, C.J. Stroud, Hendon Hooker. There's plenty of options left that they could
Yeah.
grab at a later spot. I think that, yeah, Will Anderson is a perfect piece for that Houston defense as they look to
Mm-hmm.
rebuild that franchise.
Yeah. And I agree there with you too, especially since trying to remember they just sign Laramie Tunsil to an extension too.
I believe so. I believe you are
So they
correct
got
on
one of the
that.
best offensive tackles in the game, and Will Levis. I feel like he'll be the JJ Watt of their team. He'll be that top defensive guy that they rely on, that JJ Watt was for 11, 12 seasons when he was in Houston, or however long he was in Houston. So yeah, but I agree. I think he'll be a fantastic fit in a somewhat kind of interesting Houston team that we're not sure what direction they're going to go. But with DeMarco Ryan, former defensive coordinator of the 49ers, I feel like he's going to build a defensive minded team. So give it a
Yep.
couple years. But I do have a prediction, if you don't mind me saying. I feel like if Houston doesn't get a quarterback this draft, they'll kind of, I don't know how many games they will win, but I think their goal is to get the first pick next year to land USC's Caleb Williams. I think that's their next intent, is to get that guy to be their next quarterback.
And I think that's fair because Houston, unless they get a quarterback this year, and even if they do, is likely going to be bad because that is a team that has so many holes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not reasonable to believe they would be good right off
Yeah.
the bat with the addition of Will Anderson and whoever they get with that Cleveland pick.
Yeah. And two, I also think I think like they're not going to fire DeMarco Ryans. I think that's the guy that they want for the future. And I think if he has this one bad year, they're not going to do it like what they did with their other two, like with Lovie Smith, or like trying to think who was before Lovie Smith. Can't remember his name, but they let him go after a season or
Yeah,
a
they
season and a
did
half
wrong
or
by those
something.
guys.
Yeah, they did wrong by those guys, so it'd be interesting to see, but I don't expect them to
No, I expect them to stick by DeMarco Ryans for the future and give him
mhm.
at least a few years to work through this shit show
Yeah.
that Bill O'Brien put Houston in.
Yo.
Pick 3, you have Arizona sticking and picking, right?
Yes, I have Arizona sticking.
Okay, well, I'm gonna hand this off to you because I got big things for pick 3 that I think we should save. Then if you just got Arizona picking something.
Yeah, I got Arizona taking Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon. I don't know. I just feel like they're just sticking. They're not really. They're kind of also the ones that aren't really sure what to even do. So I think they just go out. They get a cornerback because I believe their defense last year was one of the worst in the National Football League in terms of passing yards. So I think they go out. They get a top guy in Christian Gonzalez. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to hand it off to you because I know you said you got big things here.
Yeah, pick 3, Arizona. We got a trade. Arizona wants to trade out of this pick. So trade with Minnesota round 1, 23, round 24 round 1, 24 round 2, 25 round 2, 25 round 3 for round 1 pick 3 and round 5 pick 168. With a third overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings select quarterback from Florida, Anthony Richardson. Vikings give Cardinals their trade partner and come up to get their guy, an AR-15 from Florida. Personally, as a Vikings fan, I'd rather stick and pick to conserve assets. But for the intrigue of this mock draft, I took my shot. There's been rumors the Vikings want to move up to 3. I took my shot. I worked out a trade. I move the Vikings up to 3. They come and they get Anthony Richardson. I personally
Oh,
think that the board looks a little better on quarterbacks, so the Vikings would be bold to come up and get AR-15 here with 3 other quarterbacks, or with, well, 2 other first-round quarterbacks on the board. I think that the odds are better that the Vikings stick and pick at 23 and hope that Richardson falls into their lap, and if he doesn't, they go with someone else. I've seen options. I've seen the Vikings in positions that leave them with the option of like a Jordan Addison from USC, or like Anthony Richardson takes a huge draft day fall like I have someone else doing, or Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State. Joey Porter Jr. is my biggest draft day crush for the Vikings. If Joey Porter Jr. fell into their lap at 23, I'd be ecstatic. He is who I've wanted for months. But for the intrigue of this draft, I got the Vikings going up to 3. The Cardinals get their trade partner. The Vikings get their quarterback of the future. Everything works out for everybody in that scenario.
Yeah.
And with that, we move on to pick 4, Indianapolis. Yeah, I mean, I've been having you go first, Dale, so I'll let you have the big conclusion to the Indianapolis pick here.
Yeah.
Mostly because I think this one's boring. I think it's going to be quarterback Will Levis from Kentucky. They got to take a quarterback.
And I would agree. That's exactly who I had at the 4th overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. The Indianapolis Colts pick Will Levis, quarterback Kentucky, which, I mean, yeah, it's a boring pick. It's, to be honest, I'm not hating on any of these guys, but I don't like the schools that aren't like a big D1 football school. You know what I mean? Like Kentucky, yeah, they're great at basketball. They're fantastic over there. They get a lot of picks over there, but when it comes to football, I'm not really happy. Like I wish there could be other guys that could have had. Like say if Minnesota never traded with Arizona, just say if Arizona stayed, I think they do take Anthony Richardson. They should, but I think yeah, they take Will Levis with the 4th overall pick.
Well, listen, I think that regardless who's on that board for quarterbacks, they are taking Will Levis. That
Yeah.
very much feels like a match that for some reason Indianapolis is infatuated with Will Levis that I don't get.
Yeah.
Will Levis is very much a prospect. I've heard talks about the Vikings coming up to get him weeks ago, and my thing was no, do not touch him with 100-foot pole. I do not want Will Levis anywhere near my franchise. But for some reason, Indianapolis, even with the way our board has fallen, C.J. Stroud still available. Other options at quarterback still available. They go for this infatuation with Will Levis and pick him, and I think that that's very much probably going to happen regardless who's on the board. If AR-15 is still available, likely I think whoever comes up with Arizona is coming up to get him or C.J. Stroud. They probably still go Will Levis regardless if Richardson or Stroud is still on the board. I just think that's the thing. When you think,
I 1000% agree with you there.
Yeah, when you think Kentucky quarterbacks, it's weird because like they never feel like anybody pans out.
Well, yeah, I'm just doing a quick Google search. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so Kentucky Wildcat QBs. You've got Jeff Brom, long time ago there, man. George Blanda. Uh, yeah, and the other only notable one was the 1st overall pick back, I think in what was it? Was it 99? Cleveland drafted Tim Couch.
Yeah. Look how
So
that went.
yeah, Kentucky quarterbacks don't really pan out.
Hey, I'm not going to shoot Indy for taking Will Levis. They need to take their pick. Pick 5, you have Seattle trading out. Am I correct?
I yes, I have them trading out with the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, okay.
So I think the Titans the Seahawks are gonna acquire, I think, what pick was it? The 11th pick, I believe, is what I wrote down. I think that's the pick that they have.
Yes, 11 is where Tennessee is picking.
Yep. So I have them taking giving up their 11th pick, their 2nd rounder, a 5th, and their 1st next year. Give up a big haul to select AR with the 5th overall pick, Anthony Richardson, quarterback from Florida. That's who the Tennessee Titans are going to pick at number 5. Because they said they are not content with Malik Willis. They have lost all faith in him. They know Ryan Tannehill. It seems like Tannehill don't want to be there anymore. But there's going to be there's a couple other picks I have that are going to be huge. So stay tuned with that stuff. But
Yeah. Well, pick 5 from Seattle. I got them going with edge rusher Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech. Wilson for me seems like he's one of those guys that Pete Carroll would just drool over. I think he would love
yep.
to have him.
And
There's
I
there's
hold on,
other
I was
D
just gonna
linemen
say
on the board, but
yeah.
that's who I could see him going with.
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting. I was just going to say, like on my pro football mock draft that I had, I didn't have Tennessee trading up or trading out or up to with Seattle. I actually had Tyree Wilson too, so we kind of agree there. If the trade don't happen, that's the guy they're going to take.
Yeah. Which moves us to pick 6, Detroit. Um, this is via the Rams. LAR.
Yes.
Yeah. Detroit. Whew. All right. I don't know how we agree on this. I think Detroit is a very solid team. They have recently moved out Jeff Okuda, which is why I say they are going cornerback. And they're going to go who I think is the best cornerback on the board in the eyes of the Lions. Not in my eyes, but in the eyes of the Lions. Devin Witherspoon, Illinois.
Ooh. See, I didn't even have Witherspoon there. I had offensive tackle Broderick Jones.
I think that is a huge jump on Broderick Jones.
Yeah, because I think they're looking at him that they need a big man. They need a big man to protect Goff. And if next year, if they decide to roll with Goff, or if they decide next year trade up next year to get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft next year, I think they're going to need a good pass and rush protection. I think they just go with the big man Project Jones from Georgia. That's just me personally, and I know that's a huge ass jump for that, but part of my language, but I think that's just a huge jump to get Project Jones.
Well, yeah, I think that's a huge jump on Jones as a tackle with the other
Yeah,
tackles on the board. So
but
yeah,
we've seen huge jumps like that before with teams like we're like, wow, we just didn't think he would go that
uh,
high up like we did.
another thing though, and I do think that this is important to bring up. Are you sure that the Lions want to go tackle? I'm going to accept your pick, but to play advocate for the Lions here, look at their lineup. They currently
Mm-hmm.
have Penei Sewell at right tackle.
Yep.
And then you go over to left tackle, and they got Taylor Decker. So,
Mm-hmm.
does it make sense for the Lions to draft what essentially is likely going to be a backup? Because Sewell and Decker are quality tackles. It
Yeah.
feels weird
Or, or
to oust one of them, especially Sewell, who was a top pick.
not even oust them, even move Jones, have Jones try being a guard per se. Him and Sewell on the exact same side, like
Yeah, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna accept your pick.
yeah.
Roger
No,
Jones is the guy.
but I do like your pick though. It makes a lot more sense. They do need a cornerback. I think Witherspoon's the best cornerback for in the game.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. My move would just be personally if I was going guard to trade down.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
if that's what you're looking for, someone for guard,
Yep.
move into that top half with your personal pick of the second round and get like a Steve Avila or somebody like that, an actual guard instead of
Mm-hmm.
trying to stick a big man at the guard position, or go for one of these more lanky tackles, I guess. And I suppose
Yeah.
Roger Jones you could try that with. But let's move on to pick 7, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah,
Um,
I really think the Las Vegas Raiders will take with their 7th overall selection in the 2023 NFL Draft will select Devin Witherspoon, cornerback, Illinois. I
I
think this is where they go cornerback. I think that's just my envision. I think the Lions jump on Broderick, but yeah, I think this is where Witherspoon goes. I think he's a great fit for them at 7. Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't agree. I don't I do agree. I do agree with you on the cornerback. I don't
Uh-huh.
disagree with your cornerback assessment here with the Raiders, but I have them going with probably who I think is the best cornerback on the board, and I think that the Lions overlook this guy, and that's a guy you had going way higher, Christian
Yeah.
Gonzalez, cornerback, Oregon.
Yep.
I think that he falls because you look at who I've had go before him, and really the only place would be if the Cardinals don't trade out.
Mm-hmm.
Lions, potentially a landing spot for Christian Gonzalez, but I think they go with Witherspoon instead. I think if they're smart, they go Gonzalez, but Witherspoon's the pick there, and I think Gonzalez falls to the Raiders, and the Raiders just roll with him falling there. There's other options, but I think that they just take the corner where they can get him. You need corners in a division with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes lighting you up, so do what you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pick 8. Atlanta.
Yep.
Now that's a fun one I got here.
Okay.
No trading occurring. I am going interior D. I have him go Jalen Carter, Georgia. A guy that could very well go anywhere in the top 10. Could go in the top 5. He'd be very deserving of it. Seattle very well could take him, but I think that they like Tyree Wilson more. Jalen Carter stays home in Georgia with the Atlanta Falcons, and the Atlanta Falcons get a big man for their interior D line, a dog for their team.
Mm-hmm. I have the Atlanta Falcons trading down or trading out of the first round even.
Okay.
I have them trading with San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yep. So I have the Falcons giving up their 8th pick this season for the Niners' 99th pick, their 164th pick, their 247th pick, and their first rounder next year, and their third rounder next year. No, not their third rounder, I lied. Their first next year as well as Trey Lance is going to be the next quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons in what is probably the biggest trade, I think, so far of the draft night is the Falcons are going to find their man in Trey Lance for that 8th pick.
Okay. Who are the Niners? Do you want me to get into my thoughts on Trey Lance to the Falcons first, or do you want to announce your pick? Or?
Oh, no, yeah. I'm going to announce with the pick, and with that 8th pick, I feel like they're going to draft. Oh, geez, I don't even know now. I had them taking.
You had to move up, but their eyes were bigger than their stomach.
No, I had them taking Miles Murphy from Clemson.
Whoa.
Yeah. Huge jump there.
Yeah, I think that first of all.
But I think they're going to be like the trigger happy though. They're going to like, oh, we really want a guy. We just want a first round pick because they don't got one.
Yeah, Okay, I'll start on the Trey Lance thing first. Personally, not to put a kibosh on anything that you want to do here, Dale, because you are entitled to your own opinions. That's the fun of the show. I think Desmond Ridder is the guy for Atlanta. That's why
I do too. But I feel like going through the GM of the Falcons' mind, they're like, we could get Trey Lance because it's either going to be Lance or Purdy. Like, either one of those two are going to be traded somewhere. I don't think they keep both of them.
I don't think this is the time to get into my um my talk, but
Mhm.
one way I think the Vikings could recoup a little bit of those assets they gave up to get Anthony Richardson
Mhm.
is to take a risk on a recently torn ACL quarterback in Trey Lance by sending out Kirk Cousins, who Kyle Shanahan previously worked with in Washington and would love to have him as a starter on a Super Bowl contender.
Mhm.
But no, I think that if the Falcons wanted a quarterback, the options are there still, and you would just stick and
Yeah.
pick them. And yeah, I think that would be a very interesting move by the Niners, um, to not only get fleeced really by the Falcons in a way.
Mhm.
Well, not really. I think the Falcons
Would
lose
do
that trade. I don't think they got enough to leave
no.
the first round.
Uh-uh. But
Um,
if they don't make the trade, I'm going to agree. Jalen Carter will stay in Atlanta.
yeah. Yeah.
But I just think I don't know. I don't want the trade. I just kind of am predicting that's might what it go because like I don't know if they trust Ritter enough or what their thought process is. I just don't know what Atlanta's thinking. But that's
Yeah. I
just
agree.
me. Like that's not personally. I don't think it'll even happen. I just think that's the biggest long shot. But I might as well throw the long shot in now to just kind of see what actually happens tonight.
Yeah. We'll move on to pick 9, Chicago from Carolina. Um, Chicago traded over that number 1 pick, moved down with Carolina. Carolina gets Bryce Young. Chicago, I think, gets a tackle in Peter Skoronsky from Northwestern. Chicago needs O-line help for Justin Fields, and this seems like the obvious pick for me. Um, Northwestern guy, local, bring him into the team, put a
Yep.
little build in front of Justin Fields, and bang bang. That's who I think is the top tackle. That's why I was questioning that Broderick Jones pick.
Yeah. No, and I agree there. That seems like the only reasonable, logical guy for that pick.
Yeah. So that's who you got too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, move along. The last pick, pick 10. Pick 10, folks. We're here. Philadelphia by way of New Orleans.
Ooh.
Do you
Yeah.
have Philadelphia staying here?
I do, but I really don't know who would their trade partner would even be. Like that's my only
Okay.
concern. Like I have no idea who they would even get at 10. Like I have no idea. Maybe running back or defensive end, but I don't really know. Coming off just fresh of a Super Bowl appearance, so I think they might trade down with either like the Commanders. They might do an in division trade with that, or yeah, I don't really know who they would take.
I'm licking my chops here. I already know what they're trading with. I know what they're giving up and what they're getting.
Well, then you tell me what they're doing then.
All right. Philadelphia trades with the Houston Texans. Texans give up round 1, pick 12, round 5, pick 161, 24, round 2 for round 1, pick 10 from the Philadelphia Eagles. Houston selects their quarterback CJ Stroud, Ohio State. Houston watches the
Wow.
fall of their other option at 2 and thus chooses to jump Tennessee, who will likely grab him at 11 if they don't do this, and go and grab their guy for the future under center in CJ Stroud. Houston comes away with Will Anderson and CJ Stroud, both of the guys that's names are in the conversation at number 2. I think that this seems like a no-brainer. Philadelphia has really no great option for who to go at 10. For them, it's just an addition to an already solid team. Houston calls him up. Houston says, hey, what are your thoughts about moving back a couple spots, and we get our quarterback. And Philadelphia says, all right, what are you willing to give up? They say, we got a fifth. We'll give you a second rounder next year. They say, deal. They move back to 12. Houston comes up to 10.
Yep.
They get C.J. Stroud. Bang, bang. Fun for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And likely, Philadelphia gets the same person they would have got at 10 at 12. Because Tennessee's probably not going to take who they're looking at.
And yeah, at 11, I had Tennessee taking C.J. Stroud. Yeah.
Yep.
That's who I had. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can, like, kind of run down. Well, I don't have my board anymore. I don't have my good board, at least. But essentially what I had going on there is they have to find somebody else. At 12, the Eagles will go with Bijan Robinson from Texas, the running back. And then that would play us into pick 13. Dale, who are the Green Bay Packers going to pick if the board falls their way? Even though Tennessee could very well go with this guy at 11 with Stroud off the board.
Yeah. With the 13th pick, Green Bay Packers are going to select Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State. And I think if Tennessee takes him, they'll fall back to Zay Flowers. I think one of those two guys they could take at pick 13. Or there's been talks that Green Bay might trade down. So I think they could trade down to 28 and pick up Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. Because I know they're looking at the tight end, but I think if they can get Jackson Smith-Njigba, I think that would be huge for them. That would essentially give Love multiple weapons.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a shot at the Green Bay doesn't take first-round receivers narrative after they just got rid of the quarterback they should have been doing it for. And I think Green Bay sticks. I think if Njigba's off the board, I think they do go tight end. I could very well see him going like Dalton Kincaid from Utah. That's about like his positioning on the board anyway, so it wouldn't be a bad pick. It would make sense.
No, and I know most mock drafts either have them going wide receivers, Zay Flowers, or Njigba, or they are taking the tight end, Kincaid or Mayer.
Both
or
great
I could
picks.
even, or I could see him going another defensive tackle somewhere along the line. Like,
I
just knowing Green Bay and them drafting defensive players.
Yeah, I mean, we should move along, but yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we will get you both of our full 32 picks out later this afternoon.
31 picks.
Yeah, 31 picks. Oh, feels so weird Miami not having a pick. Maybe we'll just do the first pick of the second round so that people can have 32. I don't know. We'll figure that out, folks, but we're going to run to a quick ad break. When we come back, we will talk Black Diamonds from LA Guns. Folks, you are watching Junior and Junior right here on the Dogs Maniac Entertainment YouTube channel, news channel, fun party channel. Who the fuck knows? See you guys right back here. A doobie doobie doob, a doobie doobie doob, Junior and Junior. Folks, we are back and packing on this show. Long show for you guys this week, and we apologize for that. We like to keep it under 40 minutes, but sometimes the game just ain't playing with us. And this week with the mock draft, things got thrown out of shuffle. We had a long MLB review. Things like that happen. But luckily, this album review is short and sweet, I'm assuming, Dale. First of all, just going to introduce it. Today on Junior and Junior, we cover the newest album from the 80s glam metal band L.A. Guns, Black Diamonds. Without more talk, let's just get into it. What does Junior and Junior have to say? The floor is yours, Dale.
Well, as you say, the floor is mine, and I'm going to say I'm going to keep it short and sweet, as I always do with these music reviews.
He's a poet and he didn't know it.
It was a good album. I really enjoyed it. I've never heard LA Guns before that, so I think it was something that I wasn't really used to, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed Babylon, Shattered Glass, Wrong About You. Like, there were so many different songs here that I really enjoyed and that really were great in its own way here. So keeping it short and sweet, I gotta give it like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I thought it was a really good album.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, or I didn't not like it at all. I mean, there was only a couple songs that I didn't like, but like, I thought it was better than most albums I've listened to lately or recently.
Wow. Interesting to hear Dale give a higher review to an album of a band I like than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. 7, 8. Okay, wow. All right, Dale.
Yeah.
Right on. LA Guns rocks, yeah. All right. So off the top, let me just say I had high hopes for this album. I was hoping that this would, little trivia bit I have here for Dale would be a sweet treat on top, not the end-all, be-all. I brought this up to you off the air last week, Dale. I asked if you wanted me to include it in the next week's segment last week or in the actual review, and it's a good thing that it was saved for the actual review because, yeah, I don't have like a ton to say about this album, but let's just run the quick trivia question here. The lead guitarist of LA Guns is Tracy Gunsdale. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what band was formed out of LA Guns when they acquired a new vocalist?
What band that was formed?
Yep.
Well, what year was LA Guns formed?
83. This band was formed in 86. LA Guns acquired a new vocalist.
And then did that new vocalist leave to form his own band?
No, like, LA Guns basically changed their name. They rebranded into this band before Tracy Guns left this band to reform LA Guns.
Oh, geez.
I have
I
a
don't
hint
even
for
know.
you. Think Guns.
Guns N' Roses.
Yep.
That was my first. That was like my gut instinct. I'm like, it's got to be that simple. It's got to be Guns N' Roses.
Yep. Axl Rose left Hollywood Roses, joined LA Guns. LA Guns became Guns N' Roses. Izzy Stradlin told Tracy Guns when they were looking for a new vocalist to look at Axl Rose. Axl Rose joined the band. They went on to become the original Guns N' Roses. Tracy Guns would leave the band, reform LA Guns, but yeah, an interesting little trivia piece there that the name Guns N' Roses comes from basically the fact that it was a combination of supergroups. It was Tracy Guns, it was Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses.
That's cool to know because Guns N' Roses is one of my favorite bands, and I never even knew that. Like ever, I never knew that. So
yeah, I thought you'd really get a kick out of that as a fan of Guns N' Roses. And you know, some people don't know that or that are just, you know, a fan of Guns N' Roses these days and didn't go through it. So yeah, a little interesting note to bring up here when we're talking LA Guns.
That's some good trivia. I think we should continue those.
Well, hey, the only reason I added it was because I knew it off the top of my head. I can try and come up with trivia for you when we cover bands that I know a little bit about, but I can't promise. I'll try, though. Yeah, anyway, now that I need to actually talk about this album, honestly, I'm just going to say I think it's mediocre. Mid. Whatever term you want to use to describe it. I don't think it was offensively bad, but I also don't think it's good. Like, it's not great. It's nothing special. It's more like, eh. You know, it's okay. It's a very fine album. But it's nowhere near my favorite stuff from LA Guns. My favorite song was probably Wrong About You. Another one I liked was Shattered Glass. The rest I thought was pretty average. Key average. Not bad. Simply average. My least favorite song was maybe Gonna Lose.
Yep.
My rating will reflect my feelings of average, as I'll put it exactly in the middle at like a 5, 6 out of 10. Nothing special, but not bad. Like,
Yeah.
its rating would probably be, because it has nothing bad. It has stuff that's good, nothing bad. It's mostly just average throughout. So if it had a little bit more good than the average, it would probably be a little rated better. But here we said it's a 5 or 6 album for me. Next week, I debated on what album to cover, but yeah, I think that this is what we're gonna go with. Comes out tonight, I believe. I'm just gonna roll with it. First 2 pages of Frankenstein from the National. The biggest note here is we get some features from some previously featured artists on the show, and you won't want to miss it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe an artist that the folks have heard of before, such as, I don't know, Taylor Swift, little artist, indie artist people don't know. Phoebe Bridgers, been on the show before, we've reviewed her stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Not a ton in terms of music coming out for next week, and then it really picks up. So yeah, sometimes you go through these lulls, and you know what? Screw it. We did. Do you want to do a Guns N' Roses album
Let's do it.
off the back of LA Guns? I don't know. Fuck it. We're doing Appetite for Destruction. Appetite for fucking Destruction next week. That's what happens when we do stuff on the fly.
And nobody can tell us yes or no.
Yeah.
We're the yes or no's.
Appetite for Destruction. One of my favorite albums of all time. Let's talk about that shit next week. Yeah. Fuck it. G and F and R, Appetite for Destruction next week, right here on Junior and Junior. Just like I said, you won't want to miss the National album. You really won't want to miss this. Yep. Wow, I sometimes I just do stuff and it works out.
Yep.
Appetite for Destruction.
And that album, don't worry, people. That's the album I'm going to listen to probably like 20 times before next show. Like,
And yep. Appetite for Destruction. Oh my god, it just changed Appetite for Destruction to Apple for Destruction. Yeah. All right, folks. Let's do it. Let's do it. We talk a little Guns N' Roses. This is an album that has been talked about since the very beginning of album reviews. On Junior and Junior, from the backs that you guys don't see. And
and I've waited forever to talk about this album. Like, I've been patiently twiddling my thumbs, waiting to just talk about this album itself.
Dale cannot blame me. I offered it up when we did the Nas review. We didn't have an album for that week. I said, do you want to do a Guns N' Roses album? And he chose the Nas album. So he cannot blame me all the way back then.
No, I'm not. But I feel like this is the perfect fit. It is going to be May. It's going to be the start of a new month.
Yeah.
So why not kick it old school? Throwback Thursday.
Kick it off with some Appetite for Destruction from Guns and fucking Roses.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, folks. We will see you guys. We won't hold you up here any longer. We will see you next week. Going to be another star-studded show. Hopefully be back down to that 40-minute episode time.
Yep.
But, yeah, folks, we will see you next week.